Speed. Speed, speed, speed.
Speed.
Speed. It has been a bit, hasn't it?
Speed. Yeah, it sure has been a bit.
Life's been a beach.
Life. Life. Same shit as usual, you know. Didn't mean to play that. Yeah. So life, your life has been significantly more, not necessarily exciting, but you've been actually doing shit. You're approaching a milestone here in your time as an adult
Yeah,
on this planet.
I guess technically, yeah, that is what I am in the process of doing. Although I don't feel like an adult, and I apologize right now for this weird angle. The original thing I had propping up my camera doesn't work. It broke, so it's on a tripod on top of my desk. That's why you're looking at the top of my head. So
It's all right. They can
and
just
in the
look at
front,
me.
I lean too close to the front of my monitor when I talk, and so it looks awkward. It's like it's fucking
Yeah,
right there.
just your giant ass forehead, and that's it.
Big
That's all
head, my 5 head.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, so that's
That's all right. I got a
apologize
big
for
forehead too. I hide it with the hat.
Oh yeah, 5 head gang. Reveal.
Hell yeah.
Reveal it.
Oh yeah. I refuse.
You've done an episode without a hat on already. I remember. So
100%.
it's too
Yeah.
late.
So
The world already
go
knows.
back and check it out.
The world already
Go
knows
back
what
and
you're
check out
finding.
all of our old content. Go and while you're there looking for footage of my 5 head, make sure you hit the like button on all those other previous videos.
Yeah, do that.
So,
Do you have a topic, or I guess
I don't necessarily have a topic, but I have stuff that I think would be kind of funny, I guess, to mention, but it doesn't really lead to much discourse.
you did say before this you had a prop to grab. I believe.
Yeah,
You said?
yeah.
So
I got some stuff here for a potential show and tell portion of the video,
oh, that's cool. That's always fun.
so we can do that in a moment.
I have some topics after. So
Yeah. For me, I just right now, it's I'm reminded of like how weird it is that I'm friends with the people I'm friends with.
why is that? That's that weird.
Because, well, right now there's a lot of stuff going on in the sports world. The NFL draft is currently happening.
I lost. God damn it. Fuck, you got me. God damn it. What? Why you look so perturbed?
What? The fuck is going on?
I'll tell you after the episode.
Did you lose the game or something?
No. I'll tell you after. Fucking curse. Okay, continue whatever you're talking about.
What the fuck just... No, I'm not
Okay,
skipping
fucking
past
fine.
this.
Okay, so after I was getting the layout for this episode from Sil, it came up in the message conversation. How long will it take for Adrian to bring up the draft? What's the over under? And I'd say put the bar about halfway. I pick over, and Sil picked under. And so fuck. I could have sworn you were gonna like push it off because before you
No,
said you
dude.
don't want to bring up stuff like that until
No,
like later
dude.
in. So I was like, fuck, of course. Anyway.
That's fucking hilarious. Nah, dude. That's really fucking funny. That's really funny. Yeah, no, draft is it's huge for me, and it's funny. I'm only bringing it up here at the beginning to kind of get it out of the way, like get it out of my system, mention it, and then we can move past it because in addition to the draft, there's also NBA playoffs happening. The baseball season just started. NHL playoffs are about to start. And it's like at this point where I'm consuming so much sports, and I'm reminded once again that like none of my friends give a single fuck about any of it.
Yeah,
And
I guess.
I'm always just sitting here like, I don't know what to talk about. I could talk about all the different players that these teams are drafting, and I could talk about all these different, basketball teams and how well they're doing, but nobody around me gives a shit.
You gotta like Join a Discord or something. Find a
Yeah.
subreddit. I don't know. You
Yeah.
gotta do something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, everyone probably has a topic that they're interested in that no one else wants to talk about or cares
Yeah.
enough about. I think everyone has their own version of that.
Right.
Yours happens to be like sports. I can talk about sports
Sports.
at a very surface level. Outside of that,
Sport ball.
sport ball. I can tell you which teams did good or bad. I can't tell you why, nor can I
Right.
tell you who was the issue or the benefit.
Right. Hey, Lions have had a pretty good draft so far.
Yeah, but no matter who they have, they always fail because they have had a stacked team before and it didn't do them any good. So
Listen, you never know. This might be
I
their
do
year.
know.
This might be their year, dude.
This one guy they got will change it.
We gotta live stream a watch party for a Lions Packers game sometime this season.
We would just be you getting no. No one would get happy because it's expected. Everything that happens would be like that's like watching. That's like watching dominoes fall. It's like I wonder
Yeah.
what's gonna happen to the last domino. Well, I'll tell you what's gonna happen. It's gonna fall over.
Well, it's more about the banter than the actual game itself.
I guess it would be. I think it would be a fun idea to like stream that.
Yeah.
It would just be us sitting on a couch.
Yeah, just talking
like-
shit, hanging out.
I'd put snacks
banter.
out. I'd host this event. Get snacks
Fuck
out.
yeah.
And actually, I wouldn't be able to.
Mm.
If I could, I would. And then did see that what you'd want is everyone. You'd need like an audio mixer, and everyone has a lav. That's
Yeah.
what you would want, but you can't do that without, providing that equipment, which is very
Right.
expensive. Actually, no, you can get cheap ass lavs, but you need a mixer if you're have two inputs, which is annoying.
Maybe if me and Max do move in together, we'll host some watch parties for some of these football games during the season.
That'd be the move.
Yeah, we'll have quite a few to choose from because there's like, of course, division rivals and all that. You Lions, me Packers, Sil Bears, Max Vikings.
More like we needed he was the fourth person and we needed a fourth representative and it was shoved in his lap.
What do you mean? He's a super hardcore Vikings fan. Loves them so much.
Do you think he
He's gonna
watched a
give-
single game last season?
No,
No.
no.
I watched a couple games and that's a hard thing to do. Like no, he didn't
I don't.
know it.
I don't think Max has watched like actually sat down and watched a full game of football in his entire life.
It's way more fun if the teams are good. I can say that much.
Right.
There's a reason
Yeah.
I haven't sat and watched a lot of Lions games. They're not fun to watch.
Right. Yeah.
So
That's just a rough go of things.
that's why I enjoy when the Chiefs are in playoffs and I can like it's my local team, so I have a reason to like hope they win, and
Yeah.
they actually are competent. So it's like
Right.
real football's being played. It's not like a high school team's getting steamrolled. So
Yeah.
yeah, but is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's your show and tell item?
My show and tell item
Yeah.
is I recently went on a little adventure, a little quest out into the big city
Ooh,
because I live in a very small town. I went to the city a couple days ago, and while I was in the city, I snuck into a Barnes and Noble, not sponsored,
you
but
snuck into it? What do you mean? You just got into it?
we were on the hey, you want to stop here real quick? I'm gonna sneak on in, grab something.
Okay.
Not stealing. I'm not.
I was
sneaking
like, what do you mean
as in,
sneak
like,
in? Were they
I'm
closed?
not doing any criminal activity. I'm just like
You popped in.
I popped in for
Yeah.
a quick little. Let's look around, see what they have.
Yeah, I love Barnes and Noble.
Not sponsored, but if you want to, get in contact.
I don't think they sponsor anything.
They don't, but still, we might be the first. Anyway, I got some books here that I thought like, oh, I saw them. I turned to look at my head, look over at the other side of the room. Pardon me, I'm having a stroke. And I saw them and I was like, hey, I could talk about those for a moment if that might offer up some avenues for conversation. So I got them here.
Okay.
So the first one I got here is it's A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. It's George R. R. Martin. Welcome everyone to the Halfway to Concord book club episode 1.
Ah,
We're gonna talk about books. So I'm a very big fan of the Song of Ice and Fire books. I just hit my mic. I don't know if they can hear that. Uh, I'm a big fan of the book series. A big fan of the show. We reference it all the time in our friend group. And A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms is basically like it's a spin-off series that takes place within the Game of Thrones, A Song of Ice and Fire universe, but happens like a century before the events of the main series. My sincere apologies. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. This place would burn to the ground without me. Anyway, so I grabbed that one, and it's we mentioned this in a prior episode about how I had this idea that I wanted to create a universe where, geez,
you could silence it.
I it's not just the interruption, it's like the fact that I'm actually needed by people, and it's annoying. I don't like it. I don't like having people depend on me for anything. It's frustrating. Anyway, so we talked about it in a prior episode how I had the idea that I wanted to create a large fantasy universe and then just write a bunch of like shorter stories within that universe, and they're all kind of loosely connected because they exist within the same universe, but they don't necessarily tell one singular cohesive story. And that's kind of what we have here with this. It's like it's in the universe, but it's kind of just its own little side story. And there's illustrations actually, so I
Oh,
can
that's
be a
cool.
kid again and look at the pretty pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah, not many, but there are some illustrations.
Like per chapter kind of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah. There's a lot of books that do that where it's like one small illustration per chapter every other chapter. Every significant plot shift usually is when they do it.
Gary Gianni, he did the illustrations.
Thank you, Gary Gianni.
Thank you, Gary.
Wow. Is that the only book you have?
No,
Oh, there's more.
I also have Frankenstein, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein.
Uh,
Um,
I'm sure that's good. My
have
mom
you
probably read it.
are you not familiar with Frankenstein?
I've never read the original Frankenstein, but I do know that it exists, and
You
I know
are
Mary Shelley's name.
okay. Um,
Is that image on the front like supposed to be Frankenstein?
maybe.
Because I always thought he had like you could see like he was like green.
And there've been a lot of different depictions of Frankenstein over the years.
Well, it's not Frankenstein; it's Frankenstein's monster.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
Frankenstein's a doctor. He's a normal man.
Yes.
He's just a
It's
dude.
Victor Frankenstein or Henry Frankenstein, depending on if you're talking about the story or the movies or whatever, because there's 8 million different versions of that story.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's there. I'm gonna show the second book or the third book, I guess now, alongside it because I can talk about them both in like together. But I have a very fancy copy of
Oh, I've seen these.
Dracula
Yes.
from Stoker's Dracula. I believe it also has a few other short stories. Yeah, a few other like horror classics.
Was it
Uh,
was it in the same area as like fancy versions of like Edgar Allan Poe poems?
yes,
Yeah, I've seen. There's a lot. They have a lot of those like classic stories and compendiums of short
they
stories.
sure do.
But they
And
have
I am
that
a
nice.
huge
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of said classics and stuff like that. I love old school horror movies and shows and books like Wolfman and Dracula and Frankenstein and all that sort of shit. I'm a huge fan of those. I think they were all super influential in me as a writer. And yeah, I felt like one, I feel like I'm boring you.
No,
Two,
I'm just tired.
I feel like if I'm gonna write within a supernatural or horror genre, I have to have copies of these
You're obligated.
because these are like the Bible for like
Yeah,
classic horror.
yeah. I want a Lovecraft one. Thought the
Yeah,
Lovecraftian stories.
thought about getting one. They had one that was just like a collection of a lot of his more popular works. I thought about grabbing it. Ooh, that's a very nice, pretty
Oh,
inside.
I just realized you like live unbox this shit,
Yeah,
unwrapped
dude.
with it.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, those I've seen. They had a bunch of them sitting out once when I was at Barnes and Noble, and they had Edgar Allan Poe. They had that one. They had it was like a bunch of like classic old stories. There was I believe there was shit. What was it? Crap, I can't remember. It was a bunch of just like they're all compendiums if I'm not mistaken. They all
Right.
have a bunch of stories in them. There was a bunch though, a bunch of classic groups of things by authors,
Yeah.
but yeah, they're cool. All
Yeah.
right, they're definitely like it's also like good reference. Like how should
Mm.
I write in that style or something? You can use that as a reference to see
Right.
like, oh, this is how I would word this, or this is how I would
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
phrase that.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
If you
I
want
have
to
one
talk like
final one.
Weber. Oh, okay. What is it?
Yeah, I have one final one that I'll show, and then we can move on to probably a far more engaging topic. Um, I have here. I'm
Mark
gonna unwrap
Zuckerberg's
it.
biography.
Yes, I got. I actually have uh, Jeff Bezos's How to Get Rich Quick.
Does he actually have a book?
I have no
I
clue.
bet you he does.
Probably. I hate rich people. I would never buy.
I'd
Uh,
buy. I want a book of like books that were written by people everyone hates. I'd put all of the Harry Potter books up there. Anything from Bezos or Zuckerberg, Trump books, and I'd just be like, take your pick of things written by people everyone hates. It's my hatred shelf.
I have, as my last piece here, my last little show and tell piece, I have a copy of one of my favorite books as a kid. My father got this for me very early on, and I would say it was probably the single most influential piece of fiction that I had growing up because it was the first thing that I had that sort of got me to like start thinking about things far more creatively and far more like abstract.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a as Alice's Adventures in Wonderland.
That's was that in the same group as the
Yes.
that's what I remember. The big
And it's
books
a
with the
very
fancy cover.
it's a very fancy copy here.
I bet you that looks good on a shelf.
Oh yes,
Do you got a
absolutely.
bookshelf?
Pages are like silver,
Yeah, yeah,
shiny. I do not have a bookshelf currently, but I will be getting one.
yeah. I like how books look on a shelf. Oh yeah, look at that pattern there.
They're very fancy patterned
Fancy.
inside.
That is pretty drippy.
Very drippy. It also has Through the Looking Glass.
I don't know what that
And
is. Is that like
it's like it's a connected work, kind of.
is there a connected universe? Lore?
Of course.
Lore? Does
There's
that
no
place
other-
exist in physical reality?
Yes, that place exists in real life. I visit frequently. I have
No.
a summer home there.
I mean, in the lore of the story, is it like a location, or is it like in their brains? That's what I was asking. Like in the original book, I don't know if you've read it recently enough to remember.
I've not read it recently, but you know,
Well, I'm sure it's another classic. I didn't even know. I knew
is,
it
yeah.
was a book. I didn't know it was anything more than like a picture book for years, because when I was a wee
Mm,
lad, I had the Alice in Wonderland picture book,
right.
and so I was like, oh, this is what the movie's from. But no, the
Right.
picture book
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
made from the movie. And so
Right.
was like, I had no idea. And then like I remember like learning about it in like high school, that it's like a real book that actually is like long, and I was like, what? What do you mean it's a movie?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like everyone has that realization with shit like fucking, oh, Disney didn't come up with these fairy tales. What?
Yeah.
You just have no clue.
Hmm.
But yeah, those are cool. Those are pretty cool. Pretty poggers, if I do say so myself.
Yeah. I used to be very, very into reading. Mostly because I was one of those kids that like I didn't do shit in school and I hated it. I was one of those like gifted students who like I was really good at taking tests. I was pretty smart. I could grasp new concepts super easily. But I got so bored in school that I never paid attention. I never did my work. A bit of a troublemaker. Um, so I had a lot of like, and I didn't have very many friends at my old school, like in my hometown growing up. Um, so I read a lot, like in class or during lunch or recess, or I just read a bunch and then
Mhm.
got older and, started stepping away from the things that I used to enjoy growing up. And now I would like to get back into reading some. So snagged a couple books and hopefully I'll be motivated to sit down and read and, sharpen my mind.
Yeah.
A mind needs a book like a sword needs a whetstone.
Is that something you come up with just now?
No, that is a quote from Game of Thrones.
Okay, I was about to say that was raw as fuck, but you didn't come up with it, so you can't get the credit. I'm sorry.
I wasn't trying to get
Okay,
credit. I
I
would
was
have.
about
I
to
would
go.
have.
That's a raw ass line. Holy shit!
I could claim credit, or I could have, but
Someone would have
Bill and
known.
Sil and Max are gonna watch this and they're gonna point out, "Hey, you didn't come up with that shit."
Well,
Nope, I didn't.
no. I One thing, this relates to that idea of like ideas and quotes and shit. When
Mm,
I was in high school, I wanted to start. I didn't do it, but I wanted to start. I wanted like a journal of some kind to put down shit I thought of, like just
mm-hmm.
random shit, whether it be like a thing that like a quote that I came up with, or a recipe like that someone told me for cooking or something, or like
Right.
cool movie idea, just random shit I came up with. I never got around to doing it, but I've always wanted my own like book of notes that's just like out of context. If you're not the person who wrote them, they look like mad ramblings with
Yeah,
like
yeah,
little
yeah.
like shitty illustrations. And I wanted to do that. I had a journal for a while to do that in. Like I didn't put anything in it, but I had it. I had like some things, but it's so hard to do that because like you
Yeah.
forget to bring it one day or something. Because you always, I had
Right.
like a little pocket sized one, so for that to work, you always need to have it.
Yeah.
So I still have it, but it got barbecue sauce on it, and it is now stained, and it
Yeah.
smells like barbecue sauce. It's really gross, actually.
I had I had a journal, one of the little pocket-sized ones that I took with me to work when I was working at a restaurant in Kansas City.
Yeah.
Um, After I had dropped out of college and was, miserable, and becoming an alcoholic. And it is the most depressing shit in the world. Like if you go back and reread through that journal, it's terrible. It's like my whole mental state was so fucked
Damn.
then
It's like a little
that it's
archive of
just,
that point in time.
yeah, it's just a nice little
But
snapshot
isn't
of
that
like,
cool? Like
yeah,
even if it's not like fun, happy contents, that's so cool to have a snapshot of how you were thinking.
yeah,
Whether it be good, bad, fun, sad, it's like a
yeah,
snapshot of your brain. Like that
right,
is why I want to do one, just for a snapshot of my brain that I can look
Right.
back and be like, this is how I thought at that point in time, and most likely cringe because like you look
Right.
at your old like I don't know social media posts and you're like, holy shit, I wrote that.
Yeah.
Oh damn. My favorite
went-
is old videos. Old videos
Uh-huh.
fucking hurt me physically.
Yeah.
That's epic, guys. But like not with the ironicness of it, like
Right,
just
right.
saying that. God. Me in middle school was the worst human being on this planet, arguably.
Yeah.
It was not a fun. It was fun for me because I was oblivious to the horror I was causing.
Right.
But everyone was like that because it's fucking middle school. So it's just
Yeah.
kind of comes with the territory. It's-
I think it's funny. There's like an old home video that my family members love to like replay and watch sometimes. And in it, I'm like tiny little me I'm going around and I'm telling everyone like, no, my name is John. Call me John.
what?
I don't know.
What?
I have no idea why. I don't know where that name came from, but I think it's just funny seeing that and like flashing forward to future to like present day and being like, I wonder why, like how deep rooted the fucking like identity problems that I've dealt with, like how deeply rooted that really is. Like even as a kid, I didn't want to be me.
When I was in elementary school, for a solid like month, I was fantasizing that I was a pterodactyl.
Oh, sick.
And so I would like when I'm alone in the hallways, like say I have to go to the restroom, I would like run like this. This is elementary school, so like really young. So
Yeah.
it's not as weird. But like it was like hardcore. Like I was almost like furry levels. But
Yeah.
it just dropped off after a while. But there's no content or footage of that anywhere. Thank God. Because I had like drawings of me like with pterodactyl wings. It was I had to tell you what it was because you wouldn't be able to discern that from the image I
Right,
drew.
right.
But the content was there. I had no clue why. Like, ask me now. I have no clue.
Yo, that's sick though.
Little kids, man.
If I was a fucking furry, my persona would 100% be like a pterodactyl
Yeah, like
or a fucking velociraptor.
they're all too the same. Like I'll be like, someone will be like, my persona is a proud wolf. And I'm like, yeah, you and fucking everyone else. Be a fucking.
Right.
I want to be a mole, bro.
Hell yeah.
Mole. Dude,
Fuck
that's
yeah.
sick. Fucking like in the dark and shit in the tunnels, like that'd be sick. Or like a beaver making dams,
yeah.
building shit. That'd be pog. But no, they're the wolf. They're the proud wolf. They're always wolves. Wolves are like
What about-
foxes.
What about a fucking koala persona?
If I didn't know how they sounded and the fact that they all have like, what is it? Crap, what's it called? It's a sexually transmitted disease. They all
Oh.
have it. I forgot what it is. It's like gonorrhea
terrible.
or something.
That's terrible.
They all have it though, and it comes from like they
Never mind.
eat. Yeah, and they also sound terrible. They're like, they sound like they're gagging all the time,
Nice.
and they go like this. Their mouth is that, like that. Yeah, just look up koala noise, and you'll know. What
I
I'm
don't
talking
think
about.
I want to now.
Yeah, they aren't fun. A sloth.
Sloth would be nice.
Sloth.
Sloths just vibe, you know?
They do. Although they do shit on themselves
Well, yeah.
because they just can't move fast enough, so it just kind of like seeps off of them. Which is gross.
You know that old saying that sometimes sloths will mistake their arm for a tree branch and then like fall to their
It's
death?
true.
No, it's not.
Are you sure?
It's not true.
I've seen a video of them falling off a tree before.
I have it is I believe it is a myth, a misconception.
It's a misconception. They don't ever make a mistake.
That's not what I said.
That sounds terrible when you think about it, though. Like being a sloth and like functioning at that speed.
Yeah.
Like, you got to have sloth brain for that to work, Because if you have human brain, you're gonna be like, fucking go. I gotta shit, but I can't shit because I can't move.
Yeah. According to the Sloth Conservation Foundation, it is a myth.
Wow. But they're biased.
They're
They're
biased.
biased.
They're defending
That's the pro
sloths.
sloth movement. I want to hear
True,
some.
true.
I need to hear some anti sloth movement, and I'm gonna pick out the truth from in between. You know.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Let me go to www.fuckslothsIhatesloth.org.
Fuck sloths. I hate fucking sloths. They're cringe.org. I bet that exists. There's crap. There is a shit. I can't remember. There was a video. It's either like a video or like a blog or something. I don't know
Yeah.
what it is. I think it's just a website. It's a website, I think. And it's run by this woman who has an irrational hate for fuck, what is it? Like it's some animal. And all the posts are like, this thing fucking sucks. I hate it. I forgot what animal it was. I just know it exists. And it's like
I
a
know what you're
blog
talking
hate
about,
page
yeah.
for an animal run by like a 45-year-old woman. I don't know
Yeah.
what the fuck it is. It's just like, there's some funny shit out there.
Yeah.
I love there's a guy on YouTube, I forgot his channel name, and he makes videos talking about his experiences with Bigfoot. And one of his videos is a female Bigfoot pinned me down and tried to have sex with me. Yeah,
That's kinky.
very. But his recollection of these stories is hilarious. He also has a pet raven that lives in like this little, like he's got like a kiddie pool for it, and it'll like squawk and he'll go like, shut up you asshole, you fucking asshole. And it's I mean, this guy's, he's an asshole. He's an asshole. I don't like him. He's not nice. Don't get a raven. Don't. And he talks like that. He's like, this guy's an asshole. He talks like that. He showed a picture of his barn once, and he had this big barn, and there was a window at the top with like up high, how barn shape.
Uh-huh.
And he talks about like a dog creature on two legs jumped up into that hole. He tells this like lore. He's just making this. It's not true. So he's just making this shit up.
Yeah.
It's insane. He's got merch too. He's got a website with merch, and it's like, I think he has a shirt that's with the bird, and it says like, he's an asshole or something. He's so self-aware. Like, he's fucking with these people, but this is so funny.
So before I moved back to Missouri, I lived up in South Dakota, kind of on like the outskirts of town, and we had like chickens, and sheep and shit like that. And one weekend, I was there on my own. They had gone to like my cousin's like basketball game or some shit. So I'm out there and I'm going over to put the chickens away, and I ushered them back into the pen. I close it up, and I hear this talking. I hear like this faint sound, like someone's talking.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's dark. I'm out like a little past the edge, the outskirts of town.
Yeah.
On this like fucking like miniature farm, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's like a full farm, but they mostly like
they're within a vicinity, like a relatively contained vicinity.
Yeah. They have like land that they grow stuff on, but they don't grow it. They like lease it out to other farmers who come in and grow stuff on it. Anyway, so I'm kind of out in the middle of not nowhere, but a little bit nowhere.
You're out of the way.
And I hear like whispering.
That's creepy.
Yeah. I'm like looking around, kind of freaking out a little bit. I start going back towards the house, and I hear it getting louder.
Okay.
And I go into the house. I don't hear anything in the house, but I check down the basement, check upstairs, check the fucking bedrooms. I'm like, is there someone here? Nothing in the house. I like 30 minutes pass. I go back outside later. I'm smoking a cigarette. I'm kind of pacing the property. I kind of forgot about it. I was like, it might have just been in my head.
Yeah.
So I'm walking around the property, and I start hearing it again.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's coming from the barn. We have
That's
one barn.
scary as shit.
Yeah, we have a barn. It's super run down, paint's all chipped. We never use it. I've never I've been in there like once my entire life. We never use this thing. It's like the furthest thing out on our property. But I hear like talking from it.
Some squatters.
I immediately pulled out my phone and called my grandmother. She didn't
You
answer.
didn't go look?
Not yet.
I would have gone looked
I
immediately.
called first. I called first. Nobody answered. So I'm kind of like,
Go look.
I've seen fucking Friday the 13th.
This is your protagonist moment.
I know what this leads to.
No, you're not having sex. That's the rule. You're not the one in the barn banging.
So I start walking towards the barn.
Okay.
And I'm telling you, dude, it is freezing cold.
Yeah.
It is dark.
Like pitch
I
black?
am here. Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you
I'm using like the light on my phone to just walk
The
towards this
shitty,
barn.
like, iPhone
Yeah.
flashlight? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm hearing whispering coming from the fucking barn ahead. I am,
That's
shitting my
scary
pants.
as shit, yeah.
yeah. I get a little closer. I yell at, hello? Is anyone in there?
Yeah?
Nothing. Slowly slide open the door. Start panning around, fully expecting someone to like swing a machete into my face.
Ooh.
I get to the fucking. I step in a little bit. The noise is louder, the talking, and it's ongoing. I'm not really making out what it is because it's a little staticky. So I finally walk in. There's a radio on the table
That's what I
in the
figured
middle
it
of the barn,
was.
just playing fucking talk radio.
Someone left the radio.
No, they play that 24/7 because it scares away fucking animals.
I guess, yeah, it would.
I
That's ominous. That's scary.
I nearly shit my pants thinking that there were like fucking murderers hanging out in our barn. Because I was there alone for like the whole weekend, and I'm just like, listen, I'm not like jumpy or paranoid,
Yeah.
but I watch a lot of horror movies. So I'm always kind of in that
This
mindset
is
of
your
like,
open the door and get hooked by a meat hook kind of thing.
yeah, exactly. That's 100% what I was
Like in the
thinking. Was like,
jaw.
I'm going to end up as someone's fucking like skin suit.
But it was the radio.
But it was just the fucking radio.
that okay, that is something unique to that environment
Yeah.
because I've had similar situations in like non-rural environments,
Uh-huh.
and my mind does not go anywhere scary at all.
Right.
Like I'm like, what is that? I hear like talking. Like I've heard talking before in my house when it's like
Yeah.
3 a.m. and it's just me, and I'm
Uh-huh.
like, what the fuck? But my mind doesn't go to scary. It goes to, did someone leave something on?
Yeah.
But
yeah.
when you're in a rural environment, those places at night, pitch black, because especially if you're out of the way, you don't see the lights of like other houses or the city or anything.
Yeah.
It's just void. Beyond what you could see, it's the void. They could be Lovecraftian horrors just 5 feet out. You have no clue.
Yeah.
And so there's some like ominous shit. I have a very similar story that I don't actually know the source of the scary stuff. I was hunting on our old property. This was back before we sold it and got what we currently have, what my parents are going to now move and live onto. This was it was by Nevada, which is a town, and then it's by Stockton Lake.
Right.
And we had 60 acres, and we would hunt on it, and I was hunting on the far end. And in the morning, you go out when it's still void. It is pitch black void, and you're going out at like 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning. Usually, I think it's like 4 or 5, and winter time, obviously, so it gets light later. And so you're sitting in pitch black void, and then walking through this, and my light went out, my flashlight, because I had a shitty flashlight that was like plastic, and it went out. And so I was like, fucking. I had my phone light, but it was like, this was back before they added, like, it used to be really bad. And so you had to like manually go to your flash and turn it on, like that type of shit. And so it was bad. I'm getting through, and I get up to the stand. It wasn't very high either. It was a relatively short one. And I'm sitting there, and middle of the woods, middle of buttfuck nowhere. And I hear, like, similar to what you described, like a, I was like, what the fuck? And it was like, I'm like, it almost was like breathy, like, like that. But it was like, I was like, what is that? And my first thought was like, is that a deer? Because the deer will do they like exhale out their nose to like scare you off. They know you're there, and they're get out of my shit, bitch. It's one of those. Right. And I was like, no, because it's not like, it's not like that. Like, you don't hear that. And then it like got closer, and I was sitting there fucking frozen. And I hear, I'm like, what the fuck? And it just did that for like 5-10 minutes, closer and closer and closer, and then it didn't do it ever again. And it scared it was, from the time it started to the time it stopped, pitch black. And I had no lights on. All I obviously have a gun because I'm hunting, but I ain't no fighter, man. If it's a scary demon monster shit, I'm fucked. Like, it's like, I never figured out what it was. Never. I'm fairly certain now it was a squirrel, because the way they sound is like that. Yeah. And I'm fairly certain the squirrel was climbing up my tree. That's hindsight 2020. But in that moment, I was terrified. And I was like younger, so I was scared.
For sure.
It was like one of my first times being solo, I think. So.
Yeah.
Was I solo? Yeah, I was solo. Yeah.
I have a lot of like good memories of like kind of in the same vein. Back growing up, I had my grandma, who I was staying with up in South Dakota. She lived down here in Missouri still, and she lived on a property that was up this long ass driveway, like super fucking long ass driveway, and all the land around this big old like 3-story house was like cornfields.
Jesus, some American Gothic shit.
Yeah. And there's like a really old, broken down like barn and a like stables area. And then there's like, if you go out into like the cornfield a little bit, there's like this clearing, and in the very center of it, there's like this concrete slab with like rebar like hooks coming up out of it. Like, you could probably, like, if you had machinery, you could like lift it up, but there's probably something under there.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. It's like a sea. It's probably like a well or something.
Yeah. But the whole fucking place just this is a horror movie location. This is a setting for a fucking slasher movie.
At the end of the movie, you'd be using like the back end of a splitting axe to smash open the concrete thing.
Yeah.
Just like to escape or something. Yeah. For real, like, that's scary shit.
And there was like summers and shit, and just like pretty much all year round, we would always have like me, my 2 sisters, and my 3 cousins. And we would come out there, and especially during like summer nights and stuff where we didn't have anything to do, we would like play like hide and seek. And just, you'd have people running out into the cornfield. You'd have people like climbing up into the barn and like hiding underneath like like where you keep the cattle.
Yeah.
And shit. And just lots of really good memories with that, and lots of just like that whole sort of vibe and aesthetic is stuck with me my whole life.
Was it like an older house?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, when it's an older house, like a plantation style home in the middle of bunch of fields and shit,
Yeah.
that screams like that's nightmare fuel.
Yeah,
Like,
for sure.
it'd be even better if you had like a really scary scarecrow in the vicinity.
Yeah, yeah.
It'd be really. I've never actually seen a scarecrow in real life that wasn't like a pre-made like big fancy smile painted onto a doll that they put on a stick. Like,
Yeah.
they're not practical anymore. We have other things to prevent that stuff, but it is scary shit.
We
I've
had a
never,
lot of
yeah.
we had a lot of we had a lot of those like stands, like they look like crucifixes almost, where you were supposed to hang up scarecrows, but
Yeah.
none were like, I don't remember any scarecrows actually being hung up while we were out there. Um, there was a there's a kind of, I guess in hindsight it's a little creepy, but so it was 3 stories, and halfway between the second and third stories on like the staircase, there was this tiny little door in the wall that you would have like adults could fit through, but they would have to like get down on
Yeah.
their hands and knees to get through. And like you go in and it's almost kind of like Alice in Wonderland type, like go through the tiny door and it opens up to this big ass room. And that's where we kept like a lot of like toys and shit. And
Why does that
there was
even exist?
there were so many, like there's a ton of fucking like toys and dolls and maps and all this other shit. I found out much later on that none of that was our stuff.
So it was just
That was
this room in the house.
that was shit that was in that house from before we arrived.
I like
And
how.
me and my cousins played with it all the fucking time.
I mean, why not? Why not? I'd go in
Yeah.
there. I'd go in there. That'd be my secret. Like, was it like their only one entrance?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it'd be like my secret little hideout.
Yeah. There
That's
were for sure some cursed fucking like
some
dolls and
cursed
shit in
energy
there.
there. With like like adult knowledge, it's definitely just they. It was a weird room that had one
Yeah, yeah.
entrance, and they left their shit in there because they didn't want to bring it. But
Right.
it's still like creepy.
Oh yeah.
It's yeah.
As a kid, you're always conjuring up like the most fantastical sort of ideas about why that stuff was left there and who and all that sort of shit. And it's like,
I've
yeah,
never
in
had.
reality, it's like they probably didn't want to crawl through and grab all that shit, so they just left it.
There is. I love just like stuff that's like is just weird enough to be creepy.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's obvious logical explanations for all of it. Like obvious to the point of like no shit. But like when you think about it in a certain way is really creepy. It's just weird enough. And like that's one of them where it's like just weird enough. An example I have is I was at my grandma's house. We were all sitting on her back porch. It was like me, my mom, dad, grandma, and we were all talking. And the conversation came up with old toys or something. And it wasn't an old toy, like old. It was just like it was like a toy that they used to give to me when I was like a wee lad, like 1 or 2.
Right.
And I was at this point probably like 15, 16. And this thing has not been touched for ever. Like since I was 1 or 2. They put it in a box and it's been in the box for that time. Has
Right.
not been touched in any way. It's been sitting there. And this toy is electronic and takes batteries. And
Yeah.
they pulled it out of the box and it worked like brand spanking fucking new. No corrosion on the batteries, looked brand new, worked, and it lasted for a while because they had it out for a bit after that. Explanation is that shit was good at energy conservation. But the
Yeah.
creepy is like it's like it was Ernie. It was Ernie from Sesame Street. It was an Ernie
Yeah,
doll.
yeah, yeah.
And it was so she brought it not knowing it still worked. And she brings it out like, oh, remember this? And I had no clue because I was like 1. And then she like presses it and it starts talking and she's like, this has not been touched in like 15 years. It was just weird enough to be
I
creepy.
love that shit.
Just
Yeah.
weird enough to be creepy.
I love that shit so much.
Yeah, that's peak. I got a decent amount of those stories here in this apartment. Just people
Yeah.
knocking on my door. There's logical explanations as to why they're knocking on my door at 3 a.m, but it's just, it's very easy to come up with a creepy, like, what is that?
Yeah.
That's fun. I love that stuff so much.
Yeah.
I could listen to that stuff all day, man.
Yeah. Shit's real good.
That's some of the stuff you hear in like old stories. Only they give it a creepy twist or flair.
Makes me want to go right.
Put your brain to work.
Yeah.
Tried to think. I had a couple other ones, but I guess can't think of them right now.
Well, maybe next episode we can continue this conversation.
I actually have something I want to bring up before,
Okay.
while it's still
Go
relevant.
ahead.
We got a little time.
We got a little time.
We got a little time. We
I
can
do
go
have
over a
to
little bit.
piss, but I can hold it.
You can hold it. You can hold it. I was gonna bring Twitter. I feel like this is a topic we should talk about at this point in time, given that I'm probably gonna upload this today because I have nothing to do.
All right.
Twitter being procured by the Musk man, Elon Musk himself. It has been approved. He has bought all of it, I believe, or most of it. I think it was like 90 something %. So he owns it now, at least in writing. I don't think he's taken any administrative steps yet, but
Right.
yeah, I want to know what you think will happen. Good, bad, nothing, a lot.
I think not much, if anything.
What do you think that if anything would be?
I could see there being like, I could see him lightening up a little bit on, I don't really know. I feel like he's gonna be very, very hands off.
Probably.
I think it's one of those things where he's like, I hate rich people, and I hate people who just do shit because they can. And I absolutely feel like this was a purchase that was like, I can do it, so I will.
Yeah, I mean, probably. Well,
So
if you
ultimately,
ask him, he'd say no.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
Deep down, I think, yeah.
yeah. So honestly, I really don't think there would be a major noticeable difference.
I don't either. So I'm in a class currently. I guess it's over now. It's done for me now. I was in a class that the focus of it was discussing current events, pretty much. And this, of course, was a topic because this started like 2 weeks ago, I think, where it was like talks of buying higher percentages, higher stocks, and all that. Then he bought it, and we were talking about what we think will happen. And a discussion came up that I found really interesting, and that was his main reasoning, if you ask him, for purchasing the company is making it the algorithms and the computer logic behind the scenes public or open source, so anyone can see what's going on under the hood, which of course is, if he does do that, which is what he's set out to do, it's very good because a lot of issues with social media are manipulative algorithms, right?
Right.
And so we'd like to know what is manipulating us, like how the whistleblower did to Facebook.
Yeah.
Only this time the company is doing it for us.
Right.
But there's two potential realities that can happen. Well, three. Most likely to happen, I agree with you. Nothing really. I think it's an ego boost move. I don't think he's going to do much. Outside of maybe making the code open source just to show everyone that he didn't just waste his money for no reason.
Right.
But the other two, there's two that people are talking about. One is the scared, like, this platform is going to die because he's going to no more moderation.
Right.
And the second one is more moderation, but moderating things he doesn't like. So essentially making it more biased than what it would currently be.
Right.
I think that there are two. I think that he has an image in his head of how he wants the platform to function, and I think it is very what's the word, idealistic.
Yeah.
I there's
For
his desired reality is everyone gets along, and there's not a lot of moderation. You can talk about whatever point you have, and everyone's all polite and discussing, logically. And then there's what would happen if the no moderation really did happen, or like decreased, is we already know what that looks like. It's called 4chan. And so
Right.
from personal experience, everything with very little moderation turns into 4chan.
Yeah.
So I personally think, if not taking into account what I think will actually happen, which is nothing, if I had to pick, I think it would fall in the shitter really fucking quick.
Yeah.
People would start migrating to other shit, which
Right.
I don't think really matters, because at the end of the day, I'm not too attached to Twitter, so I'm not. But I think it's an interesting thing to think about. It's a good little like thought thing.
Yeah.
How will humans act when given freedoms?
Yeah.
Can we handle them?
Poorly. Poorly is
Poorly.
the answer.
Yeah, that's why we have rules. Because for some reason, natural default human with no rules, you become an asshole.
Yeah.
It tends to be that way.
Yeah.
Just look at everywhere where there's no rule. What was it, Parler? The social media Parler that had no rules, and it turned into a far right, alt right extremist like thing within like the launch day.
Yeah.
People were like, "I'm gonna fucking kill all these people." I'm like, what? It's like, yeah, we know what happens when you do that. Maybe let's not. But
Yeah, that's not.
I've already seen some examples of some pretty racist accounts on Twitter saying shit like, Elon's gonna make this shit the best.
Yeah.
They had some questionable things in their profile pictures. Some diamonds, but with the edges kind of cut out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting, but I think it's on par with the merger. Remember the Activision Blizzard Microsoft thing, where everyone's like, "What's this going to happen to like the future of this industry?" I think it's the same exact thing, but for social media and big tech. What's going to happen? We have no clue yet. We'll only know years down the line.
Yeah.
The future is
It'd be interesting to watch.
It's gonna be for sure. I'm keep my eyes peeled. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah. And y'all should keep your eyes peeled for more content
Yeah.
brought to you by your friends at Halfway to Concord. Finger guns.
Baba Booey.
Yeah, so thank you all so much for watching. If you made it this far, love ya. Go ahead and, like and subscribe. I mean, you watched this far, you obviously like us, so you might as well. Drew, my good friend, do you have any final words to impart onto our lovely audience?
Stay hydrated.
Stay hydrated.
Yeah.
All right. Deuces.
Deuces. Fucking salute.